Hello and welcome to the Oddschecker betting show. This is a preview of the Dubai Future Champions Festival. It is a cracking weekend racing at Newmarket. We've got the Cesarewitch, we've got the Dewhurst, plenty more group racing over the course of the weekend. And before he sets sail, a bit of a cross-country trip for you, Andy. You're off to Newmarket this weekend. We're looking forward to what should be a cracking weekend's racing.
Yeah, I am, yes. Just doing a little bit of corporate work on Friday. Not going to go Saturday, but the Saturday card is one of my favourite sort of betting days of the year. I've had a fair amount of success in the Cesarewitch. I hope that hasn't put the kibosh on it, but it's one of my more favourable handicaps of the season. I think I've got a couple in it this year that'll go okay. Looking forward to seeing City of Troy in the Dewhurst, and that's backed up with a nice supporting card over at Chepstow for us jumping fans. Where you'd say that the proper jumping starts at Chepstow, that 2-day meeting Friday and Saturday. So lots to look forward to. Yeah,
the jumps are nearly back. We are going to be back in a couple of weeks' time after this show with we've got a few National Hunt horses to follow episodes coming up fairly soon, both sides of the Irish Sea. So keep your eyes peeled for those. But whilst we are still just about in the flat season, with Champions Day still to come, and this great weekend in Newmarket, we'll be focusing on the flat again today, and we'll start with Friday's racing, and in particular we'll be looking at the opening race on the card, and it's the Cornwallis Stakes, so the 150 to Group 3, where inquisitively the 7-2 favourite had a Flora of Bermuda at 5-1. Maya Harris is 9-1, Midnight Affair 10-1, Asian and Toca Madeira both 10-1, Alabama 12-1, Rosario 14-1, bar those. We're going to be focusing on Saturday's racing, but we'll go through the group races on Friday, I should say. You put up Flora of Bermuda last time, Andy, on this show, who ran with credit, just being pipped to the post. Are you sticking with the same tactic here with Asian and Flora of Bermuda?
Well, just before we venture into the complexities of each race, I think we should certainly play lip service to the possibility of a change in conditions, because if you're seeing the forecast like I have for Thursday stroke into Friday, it doesn't look that favourable, certainly for race cars on Friday. I think I'm definitely going to be taking a Mac and a Brolly. How much rain they end up having will obviously impact on proceedings on Friday, more into Saturday, but we'll get on to that at a later date. So the dynamics of this race could change quite quickly, because inquisitively the favourite's only run 3 times, all on fast ground. She was really good when she ran the Rowley Stakes at York last time out, but that was obviously on a very, very slick surface. So your guess is as good as mine whether she'll handle it or not. I think Connections will be definitely keeping one eye on the weather with her. She has got a very favourable draw in stall 1, as we saw at the last meeting. Most of the action tended to take place over on the far side. The stalls are on the far side, so she's got that in her favour. But the ground is an unknown if it changes. On good to firm ground, I think she's the right favourite, particularly with the draw. Won't put anyone off, but you just need to sort of like box clever and perhaps not dive in too soon at that price, and just see how it transpires between time of recording now and obviously 150 tomorrow.
So any selection at this stage, Andy?
Well, conversely, Flora of Bermuda would love the ground if it changed. I don't think it's going to change massively. I think it'll only go good to soft in places. I don't think it's going to have a massive impact. Like, it's not going to go soft, but she would handle easing the ground better than most. That second to Big Evs, of course, last time out. There's certainly no shame in that, and she handled the ground particularly well at Goodwood. The problem with her, she's drawn the other side. She's drawn in 15. So what she might gain with one hand with the soft ground, she might lose out on with the draw. Tears of a Clown, I think it's overpriced. I think I was going to have a bet at the odds. I think in and around the 20-1 marks I've seen for Henry Candy's Phil, I think that looks too big. She was very good at wins early on the season on soft ground. They then ran her in a good race at Newbury last time out, and although she finished 3rd, she did a lot of running on the outside of the field, drawn in stall 1 on the wing, and she was just nutted late on by Muharis. And that race has worked out well, because Juniper Berry's the 4th horse, just got touched off in the Dick Pool next time out at Salisbury. I think it's a fairly strong form line, that. So like Muharis is like single figures. Tears of a Clown is almost like, double the price, which makes a little sense really. So yeah, I'd be prepared to take a little bit of a risk on stall 13 with Tears of a Clown if I was going to have a bet now.
Yeah, Tears of a Clown 20-1, pretty much across the board. Plenty of firms already going 4 places. Bet365, Paddy's, Hills, amongst those doing so. You can find all these best prices and place terms up on the oddschecker site or on the app. On then to the second race on the card, another Group 3 is the Sharp Stakes, the Fillies race, where Skelet is the 9-4 favourite. Although that 9-4 has come under some serious pressure. Like market price, kind of 15 to 8, 7 or 4. I'd be surprised if the 9-4 with Coral and Labrooks is still there by the time this goes out, given the sea of blue around Skelet at the top of the circuit. Dance Sequence is 130. Chic Columbine is 4-1. And then 7 in the race. Star Music 10-1. Circa 10-1. Gush and Goal 12-1. Bellaci 50-1. Andy, how do you see this at the current prices?
Yeah, I like Skelet. I think she's a nice filly in the making. She's caught the Iron Debut at Sandown, finishing an eye-catching 4th. And then she went to Salisbury and did the job really well that day. Still a little bit green, a bit webby on the ears, but the ability's there. Only problem with her, which I'm going to touch upon again and reiterate for listeners, she's only raced twice on fast ground. Good ground at Sandown, good firm ground at Salisbury. She's by Kingman, which lends itself to think she'll be okay to a degree with a little bit of ease in the ground if it does rain. The Beckett team are in amazing form, mate. They still continue to churn out the winners, particularly their 2-year-old. Then another win at Kempton last night, which was well back. Still 7 on the outside, a little bit of a bugbear. I think you need to be sort of more over on that far rail to be getting yourself a little bit of cover. So, albeit I do think she's a nice filly, and going forward, I think she potentially could be the best one of these next season. I've got a bit of a soft spot for Chic Columbine here. Now, the ratings say that she's probably got a little bit of time. You wouldn't normally expect a Group 3 winner to be only rated at 95, but the beauty about her is she's fairly flexible with regards to ground conditions. She's won on good ground, but she has won twice on soft. So if it was to rain in significant quantities, I think she'll handle it better than most. And her time figures have been significantly quicker than Skelet and Dance Sequence. I've only won maidens where they've been fairly slow in run affairs. So if they do go a decent gallop here and it's a test of stamina in the ground, I think the one most likely to handle pretty much anything that's thrown her is Chic Columbine. I think she's a filly going places. This the way she travels in her races, she looks a real dominant force at the moment. And George Bowie's quite happy to just roll the dice again and play her in a pattern contest, because I definitely think she's worth a shot at this. I think 4-1's a decent price, and that'll only tighten up or shorten up even more if they do get the rain which is forecast in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, Chic Columbine 4-1, 365, Paddy's, Betfair Sportsbook, Bet Victor amongst those. That price there, Chic Columbine for George Bowie and Kevin Stott out of stall 1. The Group 2 next up, we have in the 3 o'clock over 7 furlongs. Audience is the 5-2 favourite. Should have been a ring is 4-1. Joint second favourite with Chindit at 4-1. Matilda Picot 9-2, Pogo 9-1, and Lord Masusis 16-1. Andy.
Yeah, Audience, he'll be fine if it rained. He was a good second last time out at Doncaster, just up in the Group 2. Probably the right favourite on balance or on form, being a run up in a Group 2 over this trip. I think 7 furlongs is his trip as well, whereas Chindit, he's probably better over miles than he George, I think. Although he's handled 7 furlongs before, he's renowned as a miler, so he might just get caught out here. The one I like here is the filly down the bottom, Matilda Picot. She also ran at Tom Town Moor last time out. She came out victorious against her own sex. It was a real dominant display as well. She went hard from the front, which is often the case with her, but she kept finding loads of pressure. Beat a progressive type for the Beckett stable called Nagiri. I think that's pretty good form. Her time figures are exceptionally good when she's had the word soft in the going description. And more importantly, she's run here twice on the Rowley Mile. This time last year, she won a listed race, again, making pretty much all. And then, of course, that excellent third in the Guineas behind Morged and Tahira. So, she's a genuine Group 1 / Group 2 filly that is a 7 furlong specialist that arrives here at the peak of her powers. She goes really well in the autumn, loves the track. I think there's lots to like about Matilda Picot's chances, and she's 9-2. So, again, similar to Chic Columbine in the previous race, I think she's the one that stands out as a value bet.
Matilda Picot there is best price currently 9-2, but again that's coming under pressure. 9-2 is with Bet365, 7-2 with a couple of firms, even 130 with Sky Bet there for Sheen Murphy, Matilda Picot in the 3 o'clock at Newmarket. We'll quickly do the Rowley Cup, big handicap, and then we'll have the Fillies Mile, which is the Group 1 on Friday, and we'll move on to Saturday's card. Humanity is the 3-1 favourite in the old Rowley Cup. Al Sakib 5-1, Shadow Dance 7-1, Denmark 15-2, Lucky 15 9-1, Westerton 12-1, 14-1, Have Secret 16-1. Bar those, Andy. We've got Sky Bet already going 5 places here in the 335. Who's your pick? You said you got a couple of strong ones in the Cesarewitch. How are you looking in the big handicap on the Friday?
Yeah, there's no doubt that Humanity stands out here. I mean, he bolted up last time at Kempton, a phenomenally good time. Obviously, someone who keeps times on a regular basis. That just stood out on that car. They went a proper gallop, and he was really strong at the finish. I think he won by 5-6 lengths going away. He technically is, I think, quite a bit in hand of this field. How much by I can't quite remember. I think it's something like £12 in hand. I think the handicappers put him up 14 or something like that, and because it was an early closer, he only gets a £6 penalty. So, you know, he'd be nearly top weight here or close to if the assessor had a chance of rejigging his sums. The problem, which is a bit of a regular theme we're talking about here, is the ground. He's obviously won on a quick service at Kempton. He's only run once on the turf, and that was on good to firm ground. So if it was to rain, we'd all be in the dark. He might absolutely love it, relish it, and hack up and make everyone look fools. I think he's a very nice horse in the making. He's the rightful favourite. He's been anti-post favourite for this race for a little while now. But I couldn't put him up yet until I know what the ground is. All I'll say is if it's good, or if it doesn't get any worse than good, then yes. But if it goes good to soft, I'll probably just walk away from him at 3-1 and maybe just have a few quid each on something else. Maybe Westerton, who's been running really well throughout the course of the season. Alan King won this race, if you remember, with Trushan further down the line, and he handled soft ground pretty well last time out and beaten, I think it was at Doncaster off memory. So he'd probably be one I'd look to if it was to rain and the ground changed. 12-1 for him each way could be the alternative to Humanity, but it is all about the Gosden runner.
All about the Gosden runner, all about Humanity. 3-1, Bet Victor, Coral, Boyle Sport, Sporty Index, Quinbet, Ladbrokes, Bet Godwin, and Parry Match are the firms who are currently 3-1, 11-4. If you want to be a real shyster and take the 11-4 5 places on offer with Sky Bet. And then Westerton, 12-1 with Paddy's Hills, Betfair Sportsbook, and Bet Victor. Right, the Group 1 on the Friday is the Fillies Mile, where Shuwari is the 2-1 favourite. That standout with Hills as short as 6-4 elsewhere. Ylang Ylang is also 7-2 with the same firm. Classical Song 4-1. See the Fire is currently 9-1. Caught You Looking 12-1. Ambient Amigo 18s, Seaward 18s, and Brilliant 50-1. Nice each way shape to the race now, Andy, with 8 runners, but you have to think that given the forecast, a fair chance 1 or 2 may come out. But who do you fancy the prices as they stand?
I think the 2-1 about Shuwari will definitely come under pressure, particularly if it rains, because he's already proven on soft ground. Good win at Sandown under those conditions 2 runs ago. And then it was a bit of a mess at Newmarket. It was a race where the field got splintered early on, and Carla's Way, who ended up winning that Rockfell Stakes, was the one who was best positioned to pounce on the front-running tactics of Spiritual. Towards the back of the field, unfortunately, Oshie Murphy on Shuwari completely got their sums wrong, and that includes Ryan Moore as well, who was riding Ylang Ylang. They closed down on the eventual winner, but they were just too far out of the ground. I think connectors were actually ruined how that race panned out. Going back to Newmarket, I think with a more positive ride, you'd imagine that Shuwari will be the one to beat, particularly if there's a little bit of ease in the ground. I'm not going to say I don't like Ylang Ylang, but I think she's always been slightly overrated. She ran okay here last time out, but she can't beat the favourite on the encounter 2 weeks ago. I think the one at a big price I'd be prepared to have a little bit of a look at. I think bookmakers have been completely and utterly disrespectful for this filly. It's Caught You Looking. Nonme's got a really big weekend coming up here. He's not only got this filly here, but he's got chances of landing Cesarewitch with Jesse Evans, which we'll get onto in a second, or two 24 hours later. But this filly loves a little bit of dig in the ground. She was very good when she beat a horse called Stromberg at Leopardstown. Now, Stromberg is very highly regarded by the Joseph O'Brien team. And they up to in class to Group 3 level last time out at the Curragh. And once again, she showed really good battling qualities, having been stuck out on the wing to come through and win quite readily. I've noticed the form of that race has worked out really well. The horse that finished 5th, Content, beat Kitty Rose the other day at the Curragh, thus boosting that form line. I think it's a really strong piece of form, and non-mead wouldn't bring her over here just for the fresh air. So I do think 14 to 1 is absolutely ridiculously overpriced for that filly. And again, another selection. If it rained, she would be better served by those conditions than most. So I do think that will be, I'd say, one of the strongest bets on the card at the prices if all 8 runners go to post.
One of the strongest bets on the card. Yeah, 14 to 1. I think that's coming under some pressure from Coral, to the extent that I don't think it's going to last long at all. But 12 to 1 is readily available from Ladbrokes, Sporting Index, Bet UK, BetMGM, and then you're getting 11 to 1 with 365 with Sky Bet with Hills. So lots of double figure prices around for Caught You Looking. Andy selection there in the Fillies Mile, the 4:10 on Friday. Time to get on to Saturday's card now. We'll preview all the races that are priced up on the oddschecker grids, kicking off with the 125, which is the Autumn Stakes, where Ancient Wisdom is the 9 to 4 favourite. Arabic Legend 5 to 1. Chief Little Rock 11 to 2. Orn is a massive disparity in terms of prices around Orn. 8 to 1 best price with Hills, as short as 4 to 1 with the likes of Sky Bet and Paddy's. Pecontra is 10 to 1. Ambient Friendly 11 to 1. Starliner 20 to 1. Andy.
Yeah, I think that Salisbury race is quite a good one. Arabian Crown came out victorious over Arabian Legend. They were both strongly fancied going into it. I actually think Arabian Legend was favourite. Arabic Legend was favourite. But he got turned away by Arabian Crown. He showed a really good turn of foot. And I think, like I say, I think he's the right favourite. Sometimes I've been looking at a lot of these races and thinking, don't want to get with that, don't want to get with this, looking for the value alternatives. But yes, I wouldn't say it's hard to see beyond him, but yeah, unless something drastic happens, then I think he's the right one. Obviously, Roussillon, who beat him at Ascot, has gone on to win at a very high level subsequently. And I'm pretty sure from that Ascot race, the 4th horse of Owen Burrows has won since. So even though he finished 3rd 77 days ago, that form at Ascot has worked out incredibly well. So I am going to go with the favourite this time with Ancient Wisdom and not overcomplicate things.
Ancient Wisdom 9 to 4. What do you make just the two that have had one run and one in Orn and Ambient Friendly, where Hills are taking a massive stance, going 8 to 1, 11 to 1 about both of them, when market price is kind of 4 to 1, 6 to 1. Do your figures support the bigger prices, or I mean, it's kind of rare that you see a firm taking such a strong view, especially of a horse with just the one under its belt?
Yeah, out of the two, I prefer Orn. I mean, yeah, the Fanshawe horse won well at Leicester. Admittedly, I thought he quickened up well. He looked a smart horse. Just the time figure doesn't get me overly excited, whereas Orn's number at Kempton was a bit better. So I'd slightly prefer him, but because he hasn't run on the grass, then that's the only issue with him. But yeah, it's a fascinating race. I think it's a cracking sort of hors d'oeuvre for the main course. So yeah, perfect start.
What's the main course? Is it the Dewhurst or is it the Cesarewitch?
Cesarewitch for me. The trouble is with the Dewhurst, it's a great race. It's a classics race, but it's a non-betting heat, isn't it? Really, unless you're going to bet him without the favourite or.
It's interesting because some people do say these days they prefer starters to mains. So like maybe that's it. Where if you want just to see a quality horse go and win a race, and then you're a starter fan. Whereas if you want to get full and eat plenty, then it's about the Cesarewitch. I don't know if that comparison really works.
Are you a starter main course or are you a main course pudding man? Which
definitely starter main course.
Starter main course.
You?
Have been lately, yeah. Because
weirdly, since as I'm getting older, I seem to have more of a sweet tooth.
If there's a sticky toffee pudding on the menu pre me looking at what the mains and the sweet the starters are involving, then I might just hold back and save a little bit of space for that.
Yeah, I can see that.
I can't resist the sticky toffee pudding, unfortunately.
Not many people can. I actually, the Italians have got it right with their primi secondi and then a pudding up, like a plate of pasta followed by some meat. Basically 2 dinners in one. Beautiful.
I actually tried a black pudding bonbon the other day, which I can recommend if anyone sees that on the menu.
A few black pudding bonbons around, I'd have thought, in Newmarket in the posh seats. We digress. Let's get back. Let us know in the comments. Do you prefer starters or main courses or puddings? But we'll get on to the starter. We've had our hors d'oeuvre. Let's now on to the Dewhurst starter. And City of Troy, one of the stars of the flat season this year, is the 2-1 favourite, 1-2. Iberian, the closest challenger at 4-1. Al Yanabi 10-1. Array 22-1. Indian Run 25-1. Even Shaddad 33-1. Henry Adams 66-1. Hartum 66-1. You think these towards the bottom are hoping to pick up some prize money for places rather than challenge the City of Troy at the top end. Can you make a case for a bet here, Andy?
I can make a case there for a bet without the favourite. Yeah, I think it's a tricky one to oppose City of Troy outright because he just looks so good. Debut is very good. Didn't knock the ball out of the park on the figures, but he did last night at Newmarket for his time buffs. A proper number, right up there with some of the best this season on a good card. Obviously, those good numbers look better when you compare it to the better races rather than winning at a maiden or a novice event, etc. They can be a bit distorted, as those of us who follow a Sadner over the cliff have found out to our cost. And he's done it on softish ground as well. So if there is rain on Friday, which is predicted into Saturday, then it's hard to get away from him, really. He could have run Henry Longfellow in this as well, but he's decided to roll the dice with City of Troy. I noticed he got a bit of he could have a pacemaker in this as well, a bit of a sacrificial lamb in Henry Adams. I think he might be in there just to make sure the race is not a farce. But the bet without the favourite is the top one, Al Yanabi. He did really well to win here the last day, didn't he? Got into a bit of a pocket, looked in trouble, and then once he met the rising ground, he picked up really strongly and won quite well. Now, the fact that he's run and won over the course and distance, beat a good field as well that day. I think it was a good Group 3. There was lots of reputations going into that. That's got to stand him in good stead, hasn't it? The fact that he's the only one in the field who's run over the course and distance and won. His time figures are good. And he's trained by a man I really have a huge amount of time for. Owen Burrows is very patient with these kind of horses. So don't need to be any betting without the favourite now, but he's going to be second favourite because of Iberian being second favourite in the week.
I've got a market, Andy. I've got a market for you.
I would say he'll be 5-2.
11-4.
Okay, that's a fair price. So forget about City of Troy. Let him win, and then we'll pick up the scraps with Al Yanabi. He was likely to be ridden, not necessarily like a non-trial, because at the end of the day it's a Group 1, but he does get ridden patiently, which means he's more likely to come through at the end and pick up the scraps rather than try and chase the favourite, beat the favourite.
Al Yanabi there, 11-4 without the favourite is the way that Andy's playing this one for Owen Burrows. 10-1 is the price if you do want to back him each way. If you think the City of Troy might be a touch short at 2-1, brave man or woman if you think that. On to the Cesarewitch, the main course, and Pied Piper is the 9-2 favourite. Vino Victrix and Grand Providence both 10-1. The Shunter 11-1. Amazing where the Shunter pops up. Jesse Evans 14-1. Not So Sleepy 16-1. Tashcan 20-1. Temporize 20-1. Aztec Empire 22. Wordsworth, Zoffy, Goshen, Gold Shot, Blazian 5, all 25-1. Tritonic 33-1. Typewriter 33-1. It's a classic, brilliant Cesarewitch field, this, Andy, with so many different profiles of horse coming into the race. We're getting 8 places from Sky Bet. We're getting 7 places from Paddy Power and Live Score Bet. Tell us, you got 2. You said you had a couple that you really fancied. Which ones are they?
Well, the starting point in this race has become fairly self-explanatory because of the results over the years. You basically want to be concentrating on well-handicapped national hunt horses. Run for Oscar, Buzz, Great White Shark, Stratum, Low Sun, Grumetti, Big Easy, all trained by national hunt trainers. Those 8 of the last 10 winners have gone that way. So that hones it in for me to whittle down the field. I can quite readily kick into touch those that aren't trained by national trainers. Doesn't mean to say that it's guaranteed to happen, but the stats say that is the way you should at least approach the race. So huge amount of respect for Pied Piper, because I think he potentially could be very well handicapped on the pick of his jumps form. But I do think there's a couple in this race that are seriously underestimated. One of them is Jesse Evans. I can't quite understand why this horse is 14-1. He ran in the Irish equivalent, if you remember, a few weeks ago, which ended up being a right proper test, over 2 miles around the Curragh. I mean, it was worth 3 times the amount that this race is worth. So it was basically a who's who of 2 mile staying horses over in Ireland. I mean, even Tower of London was a contender, because he ran in the Ledger, and the prizeman who so much Aidan O'Brien decided to have a crack. I think he went off something ridiculous like 5-2, but he just didn't handle the conditions. Only 4 did, and Jesse Evans was one of them. You look at the body of work that Jesse Evans has turned out recently. 4th in the Irish Cesarewitch. He won at Killarney the time before. 2nd in the Galway Plate. He's pretty much danced every dance. He's running against horses like, State Man and, Grade 1 horses over hurdles. So he comes out for mark of 95, and he run well in arguably the best trial, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, with the greatest respect to this field, they're nowhere near the level of those horses that ran at the Curragh. So I think he should be nearly favourite based on that run. And he's trained by Noel Mead, of course, a national trainer, so that ticks that box. Not a bad draw in the middle of the field as well. I think there's another point to make. You've got to be drawn more to the far side. You don't want to be drawn out in the tube seats in 30 odd. And the other one I like is Temporize. Now, this is a little bit more of a poetic license attached to this one, because Sid Hosey is dual purpose really, although he's probably got more national hunt horses than he has flat horses. He's probably only got a few flat horses. This is definitely one of them. But I like the fact that he's been saved specifically for this race, and he hasn't got involved in any other skirmishes. So he's going to come here fresh and well after that victory at Goodwood. He absolutely spread eagled his field that day. He could be nominated the winner a long, long way out, over 2.5 miles. He canted his way through it, got to the front 3 out, ran around a bit. He got a bit tired, a bit lonely, whichever way you want to look at it. But I thought he won with a huge amount in hand. He won't mind the ground if it's easy. He'll pretty much handle anything, but if it went soft, he'd be fine. And the time figure of that Goodwood race is really good. He's got a good draw in 10. So yeah, I do think Sid Hosey's horse. I was going to say I could put him on the map, because obviously he's already had a Goodwood winner because he won at Glorious Goodwood. But I think this will even elevate his career even higher. And at 20-1 with like 6-7 places on a guaranteed stayer. Again, I think he's massively overpriced. So my 2 strategy plays against the field are Jesse Evans at 14s and Temporize at 20s.
Jesse Evans 14-1. That is with Bet365. You're going to have to take 12-1 if you want the 8 places, if you can, at Sky Bet. And Temporize, best price with William Hill, who are 20-1, as are BetMGM and Bet UK. They're all 20-1 and 6 places. 16-1 for Temporize, again, if you want to take the 8 places on offer with Sky Bet. So Andy's 2 strong ones make great cases for them in what should be a brilliant renewal of the Cesarewitch on Saturday at 2:40. Got 2 more races to cover that we've got prices for on the card at Newmarket on Saturday, starting with the 3:15 over a mile 2 furlongs. It is the Zetland Stakes, where Arabian Crown is the 6-5 favourite ahead of Gaspard de la Meaux at 7-2. Dambuster 5-1. Marabella is 13-2, and Dallas Star is 18-1.
Yeah, come straight to the chase here. I think Dambuster's overpriced, certainly based on the numbers that we've got. Again, another asterisk to the end of this selection, based on the ground maybe being on the easy side, or hopefully being on the easy side come Saturday. Very hard to predict how much they're going to get, and where we're starting from, where we'll end up with come the weekend. But you've got to like the way he won at Sandown. He was towards the rear, looked to be going nowhere in a rush, but picked up really strongly late on to win. I thought with a little bit in hand in the end. As I said, a really strong time figure. He's quite a bit way clear actually on our numbers. So again, I think he's massively overpriced at 5-1. He's just one of those ones that bookmakers probably don't know how to price up. But yeah, I think he'll do for me that price.
Big price there for Dambuster 5-1 with Bet365. Hills just those 2. You're going to get 9-2 most other places about Dan Buster. And finally, we've got the Darley Stakes, where Knight is the 7-2 favourite, Highland Avenue 11-2, Real Gain 7-1, Spirit Dancer 8-1, Dubai Future 8-1, Silver Sword 11-1, Radabug is 12-1, Sabuska 16-1, Paddy Shack 18, and Maximilian Caesar 20.
Did you say Knight's favourite? Yeah.
Knight 7-2, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably about right, isn't it? He just got touched up by Chindit the other day. Chindit actually won on soft ground for the first time, which is a bit of a surprise. But Knight handled the ground really well, and he got beat by an informed horse. Chindit has just been an amazing servant for connections. They must love him, old and new. I think Radeberg's a chance if the ground softens up, because he ran quite well in that Sandown race. But I think Knight probably just has the measure of him. And I've got a huge, healthy amount of time for the top one, Spirit Dancer. I think he definitely deserves to take his chance at this level. He probably preferred at York, and I would have pigeonholed him as a York horse had he not won at Windsor early on in the season. All his best form seems to take place on the Knavesmire. He's proven at this level now, and he's a big, strong lad as well. This fellow, he's a kind of horse. I think the more weight you give him, the better he is. So again, another one at the prices, I'd be prepared to have a little bit of a swing at Spirit Dancer, but yeah, it's a tough one to call. I think of all the races I've previewed in this podcast, this one's probably the one further down the food chain.
So would Spirit Dancer be the pick if you had to?
Yeah, I'll go with Spirit Dancer. I just like him. I like his attitude. Yeah.
Lovely. Spirit Dancer 8-1 best price. That's with Hills. And then we've got a couple more races on the card, but no prices as of yet in the nursery or in the Fillies and Mares. Millies and Fairs. The Fillies and Mares listed race in the last.
I did that last night when I was putting my lad to bed. I said, "Can I have a customer Kiddle?"
I always say on many podcasts, many football ones, I always say Toyn Coss.
Yes, that's another one. Yeah, I've definitely.
Very annoying. I don't know why it happens a lot. Anyway, thank you very much, Andy, as ever, for sharing your thoughts and tips with us. Have a great time at Newmarket tomorrow. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks to talk about the National Hunt season. So looking forward to that. In the meantime, make sure you download the oddschecker app where you can get free bets, bookie offers, and the best prices, the best place terms and Andy's tips straight to your app every morning of racing. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Make sure you check out Andy's column. In the meantime, please do ensure that you gamble responsibly and enjoy the racing.